Oh, that's why the judge thought. I don't even know why the judge would go to 258,000, but that's wild. All right, whatever. Child support things, man. Child support things. What the hell is this nigga talking about right now? All right, cool. Chat. Let's get to the Tory shit, man. So Tory Lanez put out another audio recording that's from jail, and he was addressing what he says is a mishandling of the DNA evidence in his case. He believes that evidence was key in getting him prosecuted, and he feels that because the information wasn't processed right and that it wasn't interpreted right, this is why the prosecution and also the judge should agree with his plight for a new trial. This is what he said from jail. Check this out.
Incarcerated for almost half a year over a gun that the DAs lied and said I shot. In 2021, they demanded I take a DNA test. I took that test with no pushback, delay, or question. Not only because I knew I never shot the gun, but mainly because I was 100% positive I never even touched this gun. In my trial, the verdict of guilty or innocent depended heavily on my DNA results. With the help of LA Crime Lab's DNA expert Randy Zepeda, DA Kathy Tarr, and Alex Bott completely manipulated my DNA results and lied to the world, the media, and most importantly, my jury, by stating my DNA on the gun was inconclusive. That was an absolute lie. They went on further to say, inconclusive means that he cannot be excluded from the gun. My new attorney, Jose Baez, hired one of the best DNA experts in the nation to carefully analyze the same DNA test the fair and correct way. The results came back exactly as I knew this whole time. My DNA is 100% excluded and 100% eliminated from the gun. In other words, it's physically and scientifically impossible for me to ever have touched or shot this gun. After the correct and careful analyzation of my DNA testing, not only did our expert find my DNA 100% excluded and non-existent on the gun, but what's worse was the invalid and illegal tactics the prosecution chose to attain the results used to convict me. Based on the fundamentals of my DNA test, the only possible way for the LA Crime Lab to come up with an inconclusive result would literally be to stop the testing before it finished or completed its final result, which would have and should have shown completely my full exclusion on the weapon. In other words, District Attorneys Kathy Tarr and Alex Bott lied to my jury with false, incorrect, and incomplete DNA results, violating my due process and my 14th Amendment rights. My faith, my prayers, and my highest hopes go to the Honorable Judge Hereford that on May 8th, he rules in favor of the United States Supreme Court law, returning me to my freedom, my family, and most importantly, the justice of a fair trial. I've been incarcerated for...
All right, people. Now, listen, the reason why y'all watching me, I'm going to always give it to y'all straight. And, I think Tory's fighting an uphill battle. Okay. I know some of y'all want to, what y'all want me to say? Y'all want me to talk about my tweet, right? Like, oh, talk about, you remember you tweeted that the DNA wasn't found? Again, it's word semantics. It's word semantics, right? So it's like, if you've ever done like a DNA test, there's no DNA test that says 100%. It usually says 99.99% likely that you are the father or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? Like the match is like 99.99%. And at that point you could just, you're the father. Or like let's say if you're comparing two DNA samples between a possible child and like a father, right? However the DNA was analyzed that was on the gun, first of all, they didn't get great samples. Because they didn't get great samples, the reporting and the findings was worded in a very interesting way. They didn't rule out the fact that Tory didn't have the gun. They left it open to say, we can't tell. So really, rather than say he definitely didn't have the gun, because we really don't know all the way for certain, because again, this ain't even like you're comparing like father and son or father and daughter's DNA. In this situation, you're comparing DNA that was caught on a gun that supposedly the samples didn't really have any clean matches of DNA. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. So because of that, they were technically in the term being used that it was inconclusive. Now I know y'all gonna be like, yo, but were you right? Let me tell you this, and I feel like people want more info than I'll ever give. I seen what I seen, and from again, I did editorialize a bit because I seen the DNA test, and I seen that the DNA test I saw is the one that was ran by the cops. That test did not say Tory's DNA was found on it. So because it didn't say that, I reported, hey, it's not found. But everybody want to get super technical. No, it didn't say it was not found. It's just saying it couldn't tell if it was found. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like almost the same thing, but not really. Anyway, that's as far as my tweet goes. What I will say is this. This is the reason why Tory's case is going to... It's a reason why Tory's putting this out for public consumption. I think Tory's definitely trying to, you know, the wind got taken out of his sail once he got found guilty. And for him to have a possible successful appeal process, he does want fans and supporters to keep their foot on the gas. Because oftentimes in situations where people, especially black men, feel they are, feel the justice system either took advantage of them or did not help them out, usually public scrutiny or some type of pressure onto that system will kind of keep the system fair. So I believe that's why Tory is putting this out, because he wants people to stay on top of the DA and stay on top of that office. Now, what do I think the DA is going to respond by saying? A couple things. Tory Lanez put a DNA, Tory Lanez put a forensic, or his defense team put a forensic scientist on the stand to analyze the DNA, to interpret not only what the findings that the LAPD did, but also to do their own analyzation as well. And they basically agreed with the LAPD. Again, all they said that they would have, by their own interpretation, and again, they're doing just like what I did in the sense of they are editorializing. They're saying, we can't say Tory's DNA is on the gun, right? However, you have the prosecution saying, but we can't say it's not on the gun. Right? The point I'm trying to say is that what Tory is bringing up here, I'm not too sure if it's new information. Because, well, let me slow down. I'm not sure if it's new information, if it's not actually, if they didn't fuck up on the test. If they didn't, if it's just all about how people are misinterpreting it, like, again, the whole DNA test thing is basically one person saying, yo, the cup is half full, and the other person say, nah, the cup really half empty. Y'all saying the same thing, my nigga. You get what I mean? Like, that's not enough to, like, grant an appeal, right? Y'all saying the same things differently for y'all different argument. I said Tory's DNA wasn't found on the gun. Maybe that was a little step further than, you know, obviously the prosecutor want to say, but they didn't say that Tory's DNA was definitely on the gun. They said that Tory's DNA could be on the gun. Now, what Tory's alluding to about the test being ran incorrectly, if that's true, and I'm going to play the part that he said that again, if that's true, that's huge. I don't know if this is true, though. I don't know if it's true. The reason why I just don't know if it's true, Tory went through a whole trial and he hired all these people that are forensic experts. And if that test that they ran on the gun wasn't ran to completion, how does nobody on his team, right? Because the discovery got turned over. How does nobody on his team and the experts he hired to get on the stand to get questioned about the DNA, how don't nobody look at this and be like, this is an incomplete test? You get what I mean? So you hear him say here, yo, they manipulated and they didn't run the test to completion. This seems like a crazy oversight, but mostly on Tory's lawyer's part. How the hell did y'all let the prosecution convict your client with an incomplete DNA test?
Almost half the year over a gun that the DAs lied and said I shot. In 2021, they demanded I take a DNA test. I took that test with no pushback, delay, or question. Not only because I knew I never shot the gun, but mainly because I was 100% positive I never even touched this gun. In my trial, the verdict of guilty or innocent depended heavily on my DNA results. With the help of LA Crime Lab's DNA expert Randy Zepeda, DA Kathy Tarr, and Alex Bott completely manipulated my DNA results and lied to the world, the media, and most importantly, my jury, by stating my DNA on the gun was inconclusive. That was an absolute lie.
Okay, so here's the thing: the documents about the DNA essentially say inconclusive, or that's the conclusion you would come to when it basically says, hey, we can't find a match within this percentile of Tory's DNA being on it, but because some of the DNA also was incomplete and we didn't have good samples, we can't also rule out that his DNA wasn't partially there, right? So that's kind of what the actual document says. So an expert, after seeing that, will say that means it's inconclusive. That's what the test means, right? Okay. And I see some people like saying like dumb shit, like, please, like, I'm like, I want like accurate switching sides. Bro, first of all, I'm not getting paid by a motherfucking soul, okay? Like, I'm here just to break down facts. The trial's over, my nigga. Like, I'm telling you, it's over. Like, the shit's over. This is not even the appeal yet. This is a motion. This is a motion for a new trial. You're still, like, think about this. You're attacking the prosecutor and you're asking the same judge who sat during the whole trial, you're asking him to give you a new trial. That nigga probably gonna say no. That's just a reality. Now, appeal is later afterwards. But I'm just trying to tell you, unless something like new comes up, bro, like, again, what are we talking about? Now, this is my opinion. Now, I'm not saying if I'm Tory, I wouldn't try it. I'm trying everything. But I'm just trying to be frank here. Like, again, they don't hand out new trials all the time. First of all, you should know how the criminal justice system goes. They don't want to go to trial. They want to give you a plea. When they go to trial, and the trial ends up being a long-ass trial, they don't want to run it back again. So that's just a reality. So I'm looking for damning evidence to be like, oh, y'all gonna have to run the shit back. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think, again, I wasn't in court. So this is not indictment on Tory's lawyers or even Tory. I wasn't in court, but I'm gonna tell you what the major things are. Everybody's said it by now. The major things are, whether we want to believe Meg or not, Meg, who is a victim who survived, got up there, bawled her eyes out, and pointed at Tory. That's the big elephant in the room. Whether I believe her, you believe her, any case where someone did a crime to another person who's a victim, and the victim is alive and well and could sit up there and cry and say, he did it. That's the biggest piece of evidence in this whole fucking thing. So if we're like, I don't even think the DNA helped or didn't help him get convicted. I'm gonna just be honest with y'all. Again, I'm not here to argue about the whole Meg thing, but like, we can't keep litigating the case. I'm not here to say that Meg told the truth. She probably was capping about certain shit. I don't know. I'm only here to comment on, do I think this motion to try to get a new trial will work? I don't know. And I'm looking for the smoking gun. Is the smoking gun Tory's DNA was never on the gun? Okay, let's go with believing that. All right, let's go with believing that. That would be good to let's just accept it for argument's sake. Tory brought up again, I'm reading it right here. He brought up Mark Scott Taylor from Technical Associates, who's a forensic scientist, right? Who agreed with the findings of the LAPD, which, by the way, now Tory's saying the findings ain't what they were, right? But he added, and this is where he's interpreting. You need an expert to interpret, okay? However, he added that they would expect a clear result on a DNA profile of a firearm after the trigger was pulled 5 times. They're saying, yo, if a dude pulled the trigger 5 times, it shouldn't be inconclusive. Now, what am I saying there? I want y'all to understand where my position is now. We're past the part of she was lying, Tory's just innocent. We need to say what part of the trial either violated Tory's rights that he could get a new trial or did not go down in a fair and proper way that people could look at it, or a judge could say, the same judge, and grant him a trial. If this is a point that we're accepting, that Tory's DNA wasn't on the gun, Tory brought up literally a expert that said the same thing. Hey, it's reasonable to believe that Tory's DNA wasn't on the gun. The jury didn't care. Now maybe they try to now put it into the air to say, because the DNA test was really corrupt, they should have never submitted DNA to the jury in the first place. Maybe that works, but Tory had what he's saying in this clip, he had a witness say, yo, from our interpretation, it doesn't look like Tory's DNA is on it. The jury heard it and still convicted him. I'm just telling you what this process he's going through now is. You know what I mean? He's going through a motion process, right, where it was all about arguments, and really very subjective arguments that the judge is going to rule on, because at the end of the day, this isn't like an appeal. This is a motion. Somebody says, who paid me? Somebody says, I'm switching up on Tory for Rock Nation is insane. No, my nigga. Bro, you gotta come with the smoking gun. That's all I'm saying, bro. The judge gonna look at this and be like, bro, what do you want us to change? Now, according to his claim that that they mishandled the DNA and didn't process it right, that could be a bombshell, but you gotta prove it. You can't just say it. Also, is going to be looked at and thought about well, you interacted and you testified to the validity of this sample before. Why didn't you check the sample back then while we were in the trial? Or when you got a discovery over a year ago, why didn't you do an independent whatever of the DNA sample? Again, this ain't me picking a side. This is me trying to figure out, are we going to go through this again? Or is this judge it's looking good with Tory putting out all these things, but I think the judge is ruling on May 8th. And I think it's going to be a quick ruling. There's going to be no. unless we see some smoking gun shit. This ain't it. The Radiant Jazz, it don't work like that. Stop it. Stop it. They don't just drop, like, you have at least a month with the discovery, especially in this case. Think by the time I seen, look at when I tweeted out the DNA shit, and I'm telling you, I saw it, right? When I saw it, that's months before the fucking trial started, which means I would imagine the defense had it, right? Or they were going to get sent it by the prosecutor, which means they had the opportunity to be like, oh, no, we want to do our own independent thing. That's all I'm trying to say, man. All right, somebody says, read the page with the yellow highlighter. I will. Did I post? I did post it, yeah. Let me see. Here we go. By the way, okay. By the way, I think this is an excerpt from Tory's lawyer's argument for a new trial. It doesn't mean it's facts. I'm just letting you know. Okay? An LR ratio of 1 means it's equally likely the sample came from the defendant as it came from someone else in the identified control group. This conclusion is reflected elsewhere in the documents submitted with the report, specifically at the November 22nd, 2001, blah, blah. In this worksheet regarding, and by the way, I just thought of something. Let me stop myself and say this. I think Tory would have a better time, or he could possibly try to push this narrative in a better way by saying that they didn't check to see if Kelsey's DNA was on the gun, which, by the way, that's true. Apparently, they tested the gun only for Tory's DNA, but they didn't try to cross-match the DNA that was found with Kelsey, which, if I'm Tory, I would be like, yo, if my whole defense is saying that girl could have shot her best friend, why wouldn't y'all check the gun for her DNA as well as mine? So that's a good point. Let me keep reading. In this worksheet, LR regarding defendant comparison to the gun was reported as IE2. The same LR IE2 was reported across the stratified population. Therefore, it was determined equally likely a random number of the population was a contributor as it was defendant was. Notably, however, the African-American control population of LR of 3E2, it was more likely a random member of the black community contributed to the mixture than the defendant contributed there too. Okay, so essentially, all right, what they're saying is that the DNA test, basically, if you really try to make a conclusion from it, it says that the person who the DNA that they did find, which they would have thought was Tory's, they're saying that DNA matches with all type of random, other people, or just matches with all African Americans. I mean, if they've been that incompetent in terms of the the detectives or whatever, shit, number one, not only do I think Tory might have a case in terms of getting this new motion fulfilled, but everybody who they have ever used this type of technology on, which is like this DNA testing, if I was them, I would appeal as well, because if they're doing tests and they're satisfied with the results, that the results aren't more specific than a gender or a race, that's a huge problem. Do you know what I mean? Somebody said I gotta be trolling what? All right, bro. I can't tell if y'all are trolling me or what, man. It's like, dude. The point I keep trying to tell y'all though, man, is like, dog. Okay. Oh, let me go to the law and crime thing. I think his lawyer spoke on law and crime. And by the way, again, we got to talk about like the motions here too. Let me see, law and crime. Let me see, Tory. I thought Tory's lawyer did something. Tory Lanez. I thought he did something like today. Where is that? Give me a second. We're hearing about this at the 9th hour. And that's why I think, maybe that this wins on appeal. This is a motion for a new trial. We need to know this is a difference. This is a motion for a new trial. Just like how with Spider and Young Thug and them niggas, they have 59 different motions to suppress evidence, to try to get that nigga a bond. This is a motion after the conviction has been put in place. Okay? So now, this motion, you need to sufficient, and by the way, the judge basically admitted that they had subsequent hearings about the DNA, and the judge allowed it the first time. Why do you think the same judge gonna change his mind? That's my only thing. I'm not saying that, oh no, I think Tory's just whatever. No. You're appealing to the same motherfucking judge. If I'm a judge and I sat in the courtroom and I seen when y'all brought the DNA in, and I literally heard motions from you to say, hey, what about this motion to suppress? And I allow it the first time, right? I have your witnesses or I have your experts come in, and then the prosecutors have their experts come in. Why the hell would the judge at this point now grant a motion for a new hearing based on evidence that he allowed in the court first time? That's the only thing I'm saying. Y'all y'all are so stuck on this Megan Tory shit. That shit is over. Please, y'all gotta spare me at this point. This ain't Megan Tory no more. This is Tory and the legal system. Okay? Meg ain't going back in court to testify. Whether she told the truth or she lied is no longer in question. There is a conviction that got put down. He needs to argue technicalities, but most of the technicalities that he could possibly get and spring free on a appeal, right now he's trying for a new trial. I'm going to say that if I'm a judge, this is how I'm looking at this, right? This ain't no side picking, my nigga. None of these niggas ain't give me shit. I'm just telling you the truth. If I'm the fucking judge and I allow the DNA to come into court, I heard y'all motions when it's anytime somebody introduced something, there's 59 motions. They wanted to talk about Tory Lanez tattoos and shit like that. Yo, hey, we want to suppress that evidence. We don't want that to be introduced. They argued about this shit already. They argued about everything in this fucking case. You get what I mean? They argued about everything in the case. Also, here's the thing too. Remember when my tweet got brought up? My tweet got brought up. Look, this is another thing. I get it, man. Bruh, I want Tory out of jail too, but I'm just not going to be delusional like y'all right now, bro. It's just not going to happen. Look, with Sean Hawley Akademiks. It's the only time they mention my ass. What's her name again? It was Sean. Is it Sean what? Tory, Sean, Holly. Yeah. Let me see. Tory, Sean, Holly, Akademiks. Oh my God. Okay, here we go. Okay. I gotta find the real shit about this. Okay. Look, I think this came from like TMZ or some shit, whatever. I know this page look a little weird. Look, his attorney, Sean Holly, also argued because when they were trying to lock Tory up at first, they said, yo, how did Akademiks get a hold or how does he know about the DNA? Tory's lawyer, herself, Sean Holly, said, I don't know how she knows. I don't know who this nigga Akademiks is, one. Number two, I don't know how he knows about the DNA. Two. Number three, he ain't get that info from us. And also, he probably don't have a valid source of getting that information. Why? Because he was wrong. Tory's own lawyer said that. Okay? Again, I'm just saying it's not about me being involved in it, but Tory's lawyer in court confirmed the findings too. Everybody's been agreeing with these findings. You get what I mean? Everybody's been agreeing with the findings. I think the judge is going to say, so you're telling me that you didn't do your due diligence about this DNA to find out if it's manipulated until your client got convicted. This is what you want me now to grant a new trial off. I'm just keeping it a bean with y'all. Do I think Rock Nation had their hand melon in the pot? Yes, duh. That didn't change, but that's not what we arguing no more. Meg already did her thing. She don't got to go back. We just got to use sensibilities and we got to be sensible and just kind of use like our brain when analyzing this shit. Somebody says a new lawyer. It doesn't matter. It's the same defense. Of course it's going to be a new lawyer. This is going to be an appellate lawyer. Someone who more focuses on that. They have a special team for that. By the way, if he gets granted a new trial, which by the way, I want him to get granted a new trial, even though this is like a whole saga, it might go on again. Cool. It would be great for Tory. I'm just trying to be objective. I'm trying to see the smoking gun. I think their best shot is going to be poking the holes at the Kelsey Harris situation. This shit, I think, by the way, all of this is in their motion. Tory is just doing voice notes just to kind of emphasize it until May 8th. So they got this, they got 2 or 3 other more things. Then I think the big one, which I just thought it was egregious that this was allowed to happen, was when Kelsey Harris, after saying that she lied to detectives, they played the tape. Yo, if I said I lied when I talked to them and they taped me, why would y'all say, oh, okay, we know you said you lied, but we're still going to play it? Here's the thing about that too, and this is what I'm going to tell you about this process. This is a motion for a new trial. Do you know who agreed to let all this fuck shit happen? The same judge. If the judge grants the motion, the judge is basically almost saying, I'm an idiot for fucking up and allowing things that took advantage of this man in my court. That's why you go to appellate court, a court higher than that judge, because which judge is going to sit up there and say, I was wrong? Not many. So when it gets to the Kelsey Harris thing, there was an argument in court about that. Yo, you can't play the 80-minute interview when she just testified saying she lied. They did sidebars after sidebars after sidebars. You know what the sidebars came up with? The judge saying, hey, I think it's reasonable, play the whole 80-minute tape. The judge said that. Now when you throw it in a motion for a new trial, why do you think the same judge is going to be like, yeah, you're right, I shouldn't have allowed it? It's the same judge. It's the same nigga, man. It's the same judge. It's the same judge until you get to the appeal. You go to a higher court. And that higher court usually looks at the whole process, usually looks at the judge's handling of the process, and then could possibly say, nah, I think his rights was, no, I think on appeal, I think we need to go, he needs to get retried, or shit, we're going to throw out the charges. Or throw out the conviction, actually. I'm just trying to tell y'all, this motion is too, like, if y'all think, I got the whole motion here. I got the fucking motion. Let me see if I'm going to pull it up. Bro, no judge, my nigga, like, again, it's to the same fucking judge. Hold on, I'm about to pull this bitch up. I think this is it. No, this is some other shit. This is when I was getting into T.I. and them shit. Okay, here we go. Didn't I download this bitch? Give me a second. I'm going to pull up the motion. It's to the same judge. I keep telling you. By the way, look. I don't even got to pull it up for y'all to hear it. Look. Let me go back to this. I'm just talking in theory, my nigga. Like, go back to this. You're going to hear Tory. And Tory is speaking. He's going to say the judge's name. I think. In this one, the first one.
Been incarcerated for almost half a year over a gun that the DA's lied and said I shot. In 2021, they demanded I take a DNA test. I took that test with no pushback, delay, or question. Not only because I knew I never shot the gun, but mainly because I was 100% positive I never even touched this gun. In my trial, the verdict of guilty or innocent depended heavily on my DNA results. With the help of LA Crime Lab's DNA expert Randy Zepeda, DA Kathy Tarr, and Alex Bott completely manipulated my DNA results and lied to the world, the media, and most importantly, my jury, by stating my DNA on the gun was inconclusive. That was an absolute lie. They went on further to say, inconclusive means that he cannot be excluded from the gun. My new attorney, Jose Baez, hired one of the best DNA experts in the nation to carefully analyze the same DNA test the fair and correct way. The results came back exactly as I knew this whole time. My DNA is 100% excluded and 100% eliminated from the gun. In other words, it's physically and scientifically impossible for me to ever have touched or shot this gun. After the correct and careful analyzation of my DNA testing, not only did our expert find my DNA 100% excluded and non-existent on the gun, but what's worse was the invalid and illegal...
Okay. Let me go back once again to the case. And you heard him say, but by the way, the judge's name is Judge Hereford. Harry Ford, I believe. Okay. Let me once again say, he said the DNA was manipulated by Kathy Ta, Alex Bott, those are the prosecutors, right? And with the help of Randy Zepeda. That's the Los Angeles police criminologist who testifies on most forensic evidence coming out of LA County crime labs. Okay? That person was called to rebut the testimony coming from Tory's witness, which was they work at some lab, but they analyzed the DNA, and they said, honestly, yeah, it's inconclusive, but inconclusive kind of means that we can't really say he did it. This other dude basically just came back. This Randy Zapata dude, he literally said this. He said, number one, hold on. Oh, it says, the dude says, there's a possibility that you won't leave a DNA strand behind when you fire the gun. So basically he's saying, even if there ain't no DNA on the gun, he could have still fired the gun. That's what the dude is basically saying, right? Secondly, which that's what I'm saying, the only part of this I see as a really good defense for Tory is, because the same guy testified, right? Never mind. Actually, no, it was Tory's defense who said, defense expert who said, one of the four, remember, Tory's people analyzed his DNA too. And Tory's expert got up on a stand and literally said, hey, not only we didn't find any of Tory's DNA on the gun, one of the four strands, or the four different strands that was like being analyzed, belonged to a female. And that made the DA look a little weird because it's like, yeah, I didn't find Tory's DNA on the gun, but there's a female DNA on the gun. Why didn't you test the females to see if it's one of their DNA on the gun? They never did. Now, Tory trying to use that point to say, hey, I've been trying to tell you that she did the shooting, which is Kelsey. Her DNA was found, y'all should have tested her DNA with the DNA findings on the gun. I get that. But everything else I keep trying to tell y'all, why on planet Earth, when the judge allowed both of them to get their experts, the judge had many discussions. Remember the time I showed y'all where my name came up? They had a whole hearing about DNA. They had a whole hearing about it. The judge sat there and literally said, hey, have you turned over the DNA to the defense? Great. Hey, do you have any questions about it? Hey, okay, you want to have your people look at it? Great, perfect. Make sure that that was a hearing. The judge sat there for it. The judge said, okay, everything cool. Now is the 9th hour. Tory's convicted, and one of the things and the reasons he wants it to be overturned or wants to get a new trial is for that same thing that he's going to ask the same judge to change his mind on. The judge already made up his mind. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. This is not an anti-Tory stance. I'm just saying this is a upward climb that, let's not get too excited. Maybe if this was an appeal, but let's not get too excited for this motion. Now I'm switching topics. I just wanted it to be clear, because y'all are doing something that I never wanted this case to turn into. The fact that we do fuck with Tory and we love Tory as a person and as a musician, now everything is turned to us versus them. Bro, the trial happened already. We're not going to sit here and be in delusion about everything that now comes out. There's some things that be like, okay, that's a good point. There's some things wait and see. And there's some things like, me calling this what I'm seeing it is just exactly what it is right now for Tory. And again, I know he's dragging this out because he's going to be putting out probably something else tomorrow and the day after. His big thing ain't DNA, my nigga. Like, you know what I mean? Obviously, it's one of the reasons they're hoping that he could get a new trial. But trust me, I would hope it would be the Kelsey testimony, and if they could somehow prove that Sean Kelly's testimony was very hypocritical compared to what he said before, just like how the prosecutors tried to do that with Kelsey. So I think that's their angle they should do. They should move with. But this other shit y'all niggas is thinking about where y'all feel like I should just defend blindly everything, is like y'all niggas is tripping. All right. I think I explained that. What up, my people over Rumble? Like, did y'all get what I'm saying? I don't want to be talking to y'all like y'all stupid, because I know y'all are really intelligent people. You get what I mean? Someone said, he said, don't worry, Ak. We know he's. Of course I still fuck with Tory, bro. I'm just being realistic, my nigga. Bro, I'm always the nigga that's gonna tell y'all the truth, right? Like, this is what I fucking feel. This is what I feel. I feel Tory's lawyers is telling him, shut the fuck up. Let us be lawyers. Let us do our thing. And I think Tory, or whoever it might be, his advisors, is like, yo, I have to use a little bit of celebrityhood to try to influence this to go a certain way. It was very powerful when the people were in this fight with me. So rather than just, like, everything he's saying is already on paper. Everything he's saying, the judge is already going to see. He's putting this information out, which, by the way, also, here's the thing, too. Like, I seen people like, oh, no, his lawyer supports him. Yeah, the lawyer will talk about the evidence. You know what the lawyer did not repost? Him going at the DA. The lawyer got other cases. The lawyer got to go into that courtroom. Y'all remember Tory's first, y'all remember his first, thing going at the DA? Basically call him corrupt. Look, call the head DA corrupt.
Dear George Gascon, I write this message with the utmost humility, love, and respect for the remarkable steps that you've taken in regards to fighting for the justice of black and brown minorities. Today I take a stance as an innocent black man, wrongfully convicted of a...
Keep in mind, the person he's calling out is the person who want him in jail. That nigga ain't gonna be like, oh, you know what? Man, Tory do got a point. Man, yo, call off the horses. Like, let Tory rock it. No.
Crime I did not commit. I've watched 2 district attorneys from your office by the names of Kathy Tarr and Alex Bott unlawfully misuse their authority to hide and suppress.
Yes, those are the ops. His first letter was to the ops. Of course his lawyer didn't co-sign that. His lawyer, because first of all, if his lawyer co-signed that, what happens when his lawyer got to go back in court versus, those people prosecute the majority of cases in Los Angeles County. And his lawyer probably is in that court a lot. You think they're gonna have any favor if those DAs is gonna be like, yo, didn't you say we were corrupt, nigga? Yeah, you said that when you were representing Tory. They're not saying that. Nigga, they fell all the way back. They said, all right, nigga, you can put this out on your own. We'll jump in at step 2, the DNA. Yeah, we'll agree with you on the DNA because that's evidence. But you calling out the head guy? Oh, hell no.
Any and all exculpatory evidence that exonerates me and furthers my innocence. I was completely robbed and deprived of a fair trial. So on May 8th, my lawyers will be arguing a motion for a new trial. Not only do I owe it to myself to fight for my freedom, but I owe it to my 6-year-old child, my family, my fans, and most importantly, the hundreds and thousands of black and Hispanic minorities that cannot adequately fight for themselves. For 3 years, the prosecution has manipulated a false narrative that has left me with no choice.
By the way, this is another reason I think Tory's lawyer ain't behind this piece of content going up. Did y'all not remember what happened when Tory's lawyer Menshevin, whatever his name is, George Menshevin, tried to say that that's why they played Kelsey's old interview. They made it seem like the prosecutor pressured Kelsey against her will to say something she didn't want to say. That's when they did a sidebar. They said, "Judge, can we talk to you for a second?" They were highly offended at the defense hinting that they pressured possible witnesses or anybody at all to make up lies. That's why they said, hey, since they're saying that Kelsey lied to us because we were forcing her at the time to say something she didn't want to say, Judge, could we play the whole 80 minutes of what she said? And if they're right that we were pressuring her, you'll be able to hear it, Judge. And so will the jury. That's why they played the whole thing. They lit the prosecution went to the judge to say they're accusing us of manipulating this whole thing. What is Tory doing in this clip?
But they exposed the practices, the behind door deals, and the unjust system that was used to illegally convict me and countless other minorities. We elected you because of your outstanding eminence in making fair and correct judgments in the justice for people of color. So, Mr. Gascon, I come to you today as a wrongfully convicted black man, not asking for sympathy nor compassion, but for you to simply do what is fair and right in the laws of California, and most importantly, in the eyes of God. Dear George Gascon.
All right. And I found it. Argument over rap lyrics. DNA could lead to new trial for Tory. Okay, so this was the let me see. Oh, wow, they hate ad blockers over here too. So good. Let me do this. I bet. So look at this. Here we go. Rapper Tory Lanez could win a new trial for the shooting of Meg over DNA evidence that was mischaracterized at a trial and the use of lyrics that can threaten to racialize proceedings, according to his lawyer. Okay? Bias spoke to Law and Crime today about his client request for a new trial, whose legal name is Daystar Peterson, blah, blah, blah. Is there a video of this? I wish there was a video. No, it's not. Bias, okay, all right. Bias in Barhoma claims prosecutors misrepresented DNA evidence in trial and improperly used the rapper's lyrics and persona against him to win a conviction. I think it racializes the proceedings. Utilizing rap persona, creative expression, and rap lyrics puts an accused in a very tough position. It's infiltrated by extreme racism and should never see inside of a court. He called it appalling that the prosecutors in this case and across the country are using rap lyrics in rap music as evidence against defendants. It's an area of law, he said, that hasn't been litigated, okay? All right. This ain't really saying shit. When asked about Meg's statement, his lawyer said that she had given different accounts of what happened, including claims she had stepped on glass. That is very true, right? That is true. Meanwhile, Lanez has posted an open letter to Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon on his Instagram account, claiming he's wrongfully convicted and that prosecutors hid evidence in this case. By the way, also here's the thing too. What Tory Lanez is accusing them of is prosecutorial misconduct, which is a very serious thing. Again, I believe they're going to take that and they're going to go harder at him. That doesn't do him any favors. He's accusing them of being corrupt. All right. Give me a second. By the way, we're just going to move on. Okay. Okay. I think we're kind of good